Japan is a country full of rivers. You can see the shape of the islands by looking at a map that only shows rivers. Our country is a country of water. Due to this, Japan doesn't really suffer water shortages compared to the other parts of the world. But we need a decent control over those rivers and the rain that is enormous enough to fill all those rivers. In addition, our country is made of volcanic islands, having big difference of elevation in the path of those short rivers. Due to this environment, Japanese rivers are narrow and rapid. The word water management in Japan mainly means the control over a flood. According to the most recent governmental statistics, Japan had a damage of 290 billion Japanese yen per year in total, which is about 2.9 billion US dollars, 2.6 billion euros, or 2.1 billion pounds due to water disasters such as floods, landslides, typhoons, in other words, excessive rainfall. More than 100 people died in 2014. 261 buildings were washed away or unrepairably damaged. 7,933 buildings suffered inundation above floor level, and 20,417 buildings below floor. The largest damage was caused by typhoon number 11th and 12th. Certain parts of Japan suffered floods with an extremely heavy rain of more than 100 millimeters per hour. Japanese sewage used to be built with an assumption that we may have a heavy rain of 50 millimeters per hour. However, nowadays we often suffer 100 millimeters. Worst part of this new climate trend is that such a heavy rain occurs as a local burst. Media call this as a guerrilla rain, coined from its unpredictability. Because the spot of the rain is so limited, it is really hard to forecast. The guerrilla rain became well known over the country, with 5 workmen drowned to death while working in a manhole located at the downstream of the guerrilla rain spot. If we are to pick one trend in water management in Japan, I would pick countermeasures against extreme rain beyond the scope of traditional assumptions. The most vulnerable to such guerrilla rain is the city of Tokyo. Central Tokyo has less soil, less ability to absorb rain, almost no land for expanding rivers or constructing dams. For the water management of Tokyo, in other words, for the flood control, we built a gigantic underground Greek temple called the Metropolitan Area Outer Underground Discharge Channel, or MAOUDC. Tokyo has both narrow rivers and wide rivers. MAOUDC drags water from those narrow rivers on the verge of a flood, able to contain 0.7 million cubic meters water, able to discharge 200 cubic meters of water per 1 second into the widest river of Tokyo called Tone River. Tokyo is preparing itself against water disasters, but MAOUDC does not cover all over this gigantic city, and other cities doesn't even have MAOUDC. The countermeasures against such guerrilla rain is one of the biggest trends in current Japanese water management. In order to protect our vulnerable cities, we need to build a system that utilizes the forecast system and the drain structures that works in combination and is able to cope with this new climate.